Hi everybody and welcome to another Grow Your Future short video. Today we are going to have a little look at CVs. So CVs are a challenge and there is no set way for putting a CV together. And this can make it a little bit challenging sometimes to know exactly what to include, how to structure it, how to format it, etc. But one of the key things that we would always say is that you want it to be something that you are proud of. So you've done it, you've put it together, and you want to be proud of it. So when you're handing that to employers, when you're submitting it as part of your applications, you want it to feel like it looks professional, the formatting's really good, and there's no spelling mistakes, no grammar issues. And that's what we mean when we say you want it to be something that you're proud of. So you want to be able to look at it and think, yeah, I did that and it looks really good. So just to start off with, that's one of the key messages that we would say. So have a little look over your CVs and think, does it look professional? Does it make sense? Is everything formatted properly? There's no sort of strange bullet points everywhere, or spelling mistakes, etc. And if you've done that and it looks good, then that's a good starting point. So what can you include in your CV? We would generally say you can probably include most things that you've done, but the key thing is to make sure that they are relevant. So when you're looking at the job description and the person's specification, of the role that you're applying for, you want to make sure that everything that you include in your CV is relevant to that. So it might be that you do have a template CV that has all the things that you've done so far in, and that each time you apply for a job role, that you tailor that to the specific role that you're applying for, editing some of the skills maybe to reflect the ones that are included within the job advert, and just generally making sure it aligns with that role. So, where do you start? What we would also say as a starting point is thinking about what skills you have, and what you want to include within your CV that reflects these skills. So also looking at the job description and trying to match with those as well. But you also want to make sure that the skills that you're including are really authentic to you and reflect your strengths. So think about the skills that you have to offer, and these can come from anywhere. So on this slide is lots of examples of different skills, and some little arrows against some of the skills, and examples as to where you might have developed those skills from. So things like organisation skills could come from part-time work, teamwork from sports clubs, lots of different ways in which you can develop teamwork skills. But sports could be one of those examples. Typically, often students don't think that they can draw upon being part of a sports club or a society or their part-time work within their CV, when actually it shows a lot of different skills. So what we would say as a key starting point as well is thinking about what you have to offer and what you would use to describe yourself. So think about that going forward as well. So what do you also include in your CV? We would tend to say that a profile is really good. It states your characteristics and your personal attributes, and it also says about what you have to offer. And then also your vision as well. So three key sort of things within that profile, and that profile is at the top of your CV, and almost acts as a trailer to a film. So it's like that very short snippet that summarizes who you are and what you have to offer and what your goal, aim or vision is going forward. Then moving on to your education section. So you want to include your university degree in here and any relevant modules that you might want to include that are, again, specific to the role that you're applying for. So if you're applying for a role that's got a lot of analytical elements to it, and if you've done a module that's very research focused and required you to analyze data, then it might be useful to include that within this section. So yeah, always put your university degree first, or the qualification that you've done most recently first, and then move backwards. Then onto your A levels or equivalent, and GCSEs and equivalent as well. You don't necessarily need to list every GCSE that you've done. Sometimes you can just put, or we would recommend just putting the number and the grade, the number of GCSEs that you've got and the grade range, and then include maths and English in that as well. Just because you don't necessarily need to fill the space with all those lists of different GCSEs that you did, especially now that you're at university level in terms of your education. So with the experience section, this is one of the key parts of the CV because it really starts to highlight your skills and your experiences that you've had, whether that's paid or not paid. So we would always say include all relevant work experience. So volunteering, anything you've done as part of societies, ambassador roles, part-time work in retail, in restaurants, etc. It's all worthy of being included within this section. Students sometimes think that you could only include like internships and placements and any official professional work experience, when actually there's lots of other things that you can include in there. It's key to remember really that employers know that if they're hiring a student, then you're not necessarily going to have worked full time. So your experience section will look different to what maybe someone who's had a career for X, Y, Z number of years would have in their CV. Some other key points on the slide there to include, so the dates that you were employed, the employer and the job title, and your roles and responsibilities. So try and be really clear in the formatting with this. Formatting can really make this section look professional, and really clearly outline the history of your work experience that you've had. And by sort of kind of really defining the employer and the job title, it's really easy for the person reading your CV to pick that information out. So within the experience section for each of the roles that you've got, try and talk a little bit about what you did and what it involved, and also what sort of skills you gained from that. And each bullet point you can try and tailor a little bit to the role. So if you've developed skills in teamwork and it's talking about teamwork with the job description, then try and make sure that's reflected within your CV. We would encourage you also to use active words. So active words there's lots of examples of them on the screen. And instead of speaking in your CV in sort of like I did this or I worked as a, try and start each sentence with these active words. So organised, developed, researching, lots of different words that you can use, and they're just really good for highlighting really clearly what you've developed skills wise, but also sounds really professional as well. And just to end really, we've just included this image in the slide. This is what employers tend to look at in terms of, this is mapping where they go to look at a CV. In terms of where their first sort of attention is drawn on the page. So as you can see, the detail is really on those key points on the left-hand side that highlight your education, your experience, the title, and as you can see from the blue, which is where the eye contact is focused less, is the less attention. So hopefully that kind of shows you as well where you really need to make sure that key information lies within your CV. Just an interesting image to show you there. I'm aware that's a very quick overview of CVs. If you look back in some of our other videos, there's lots of more information about sort of what skills might you have, how can you sort of talk about work experience, the STAR technique, etc. So do go and have a look back at some of those videos for more detail on specific sections, or something sections around your CV. As always, you can contact Careers and Grow Your Future, book an appointment through Careers Connect, come and get your CV checked. Just having another pair of eyes on it is really helpful. So do sort of do that if you think you would like that someone to look over your CV for you. And yeah, good luck and speak to you soon. Thank you. Bye.